Officers are currently preparing to move out for a drug raid. The team is made up of various roles and responsibilities, each of which is necessary to ensure the safety of the members of the public and the officers for this raid.
I'm from CNB. Is at home?
Yeah, what?
I'm from CNB. Can you let us in first?
No, wait. What happened?
We are here for a drug investigation. We want to talk to him first. Can you let us in, ma'am? I need to talk to him.
Hold on, you give me a minute.
Ma'am,
No, you
let
give
me
me.
inside.
No, give me a minute.
This is my warrant card.
There are times where subjects may suddenly turn hostile and situations can escalate quickly. There have been subjects who reach out for a weapon and try to wield it against the officers, trying to threaten them. So our officers are trained to handle unexpected situations to de-escalate them quickly.
All mine.
Open the door.
The team has arrested the suspected drug offender in this unit. Within this unit, they also found 3 children, including a toddler. The harms of drugs extend beyond the abusers themselves and can impact families and the community, including innocent children. These children may be neglected and exposed to violence and abuse, growing up in unsafe environments. This drug raid, our officers found some exhibits including cannabis and pipe, and also some lighters and some rolling papers which the subject may have used to smoke cannabis. TNB is aware of the usage of online messaging apps such as Telegram for drug activities, and we have been taking enforcement actions since 2019 to arrest those that's involved in these activities.
Thank you for coming today. And the discussion today is all about the issue of drugs in Singapore. Do you think there's a drug problem in Singapore?
Yes. My classmates, when I was in secondary school, who was apparently abusing it.
Every now and then, there will be someone saying that they want to try things overseas, thinking that they won't get caught.
I was on an exchange trip to Bangkok, and there were like a lot of shops like selling weed.
Today's session was to basically feel the pulse as to what's happening with the youth in Singapore, the situation in Thailand. Do you think that has in any way impacted acceptance of youth in Singapore?
I think once it was legalized in Bangkok, we were like, oh, maybe it's not as bad as we actually thought.
People may think that if Thailand allows cannabis, then how come Singapore cannot have cannabis? And they maybe want to follow the trend and jump onto the bandwagon.
I think what's coming across is basically on social media in terms of consumption and also popular culture. They're watching movies, even to a certain extent, pop music that advocates the use of drugs. It seems to be that they are a little bit more accepting towards what they term soft drugs, but soft drugs in this case, like cannabis, are still drugs.
Yo, how are you?
I'm good, man. You got any hip hop records?
Yeah, we do actually. Some at the corner and then right here. Oh,
Thanks.
Yeah, fake gold, thinking he got the cheat code. Yeah.
I used to listen to a lot of hip hop music, a lot of rap. They used to rap a lot about smoking cannabis. I thought that it was fairly innocent. I thought it was okay.
I see you chose the quick money over invest return.
The thing that really lowered my kind of resistance to cannabis was alcohol. I started drinking before I started smoking cannabis. I had grown up in a household where my dad was an alcoholic. I would see him intoxicated. Alcohol drinking was normalized for me. So I guess that extended to cannabis as well. There was this line from a song by Absol. Started a song by saying, "It smells like dope in here." And that's something that I repeated a lot, especially when I was smoking cannabis at home with my friends. I'll walk in and then I'll be like, "Oh, you know, it smells like dope in here." And then everyone will just laugh. Yeah. I myself thought that cannabis was not addictive, but I found myself craving it every day. And I found myself not being able to function without it.
There are several chemicals in the cannabis, but the main chemicals are THC and CBD. One of them, that THC, is psychoactive. Cannabis is a highly addictive chemical. The reason why it is that it has a long-standing effect in the brain, which can cause psychosis, mood symptoms, as well as sometimes in some cases suicidal tendencies too. Over the last 10 to 15 years, the genetically modified plants that are higher THC concentration, that can cause much higher psychiatric problems because it affects your brain modulation in a more negative way. And in certain areas of the brain, they may impair a person's memory, that may impair person's motor activities, that is walking or hand movements. They may see things which is not there, which is called hallucinations. They may think something is not real, that's called delusions, and that in terms they are called psychotic symptoms. It can also have an impact on your mood and can mood fluctuations as well.
Some individuals have a higher risk factor of developing addiction than others, especially genetics. Some don't even realize they have those early mental health conditions, and that cannabis can exacerbate that or make it worse. Yeah, especially things like schizophrenia. So the way they cope with things is, using substances, whether to numb themselves or to fill a void.
Whoa! 1 dinosaur, 2 dinosaur, 3, 4. Which is your favorite? I started using drugs around 16 years old. My drug of choice is cannabis. I had started having bad effects of smoking. If I didn't have it on me, I would have anxiety. In 2013, I had a couple of mental breakdowns. They call it psychosis. I couldn't sleep. I was paranoid. I thought my friends, my family were all out to get me. I did Google euthanasia. Life had become quite dark. My mom was against it, and she sent me to IMH. My diagnosis was schizophrenia. Doctors did say that cannabis contributed to my illness. Because there is a chemical imbalance in my brain now, that in any instance, if let's say I'm pressured or I'm in a stressful situation, despite the use of cannabis or not, I'm still more prone to have a psychotic breakdown. So I'm on medication till today. Susie Sheep has come to Pepper's house to play. Play, yes.
When I had gone to the rehab, that's when I felt movement in my stomach. And then I went to KKH to see how far along am I. Little did I know that it was about 6 months, and I was shocked.
Where's the cake? Where's the cake? Circle.
So around a year plus, I think we realized that he was not really hitting his milestones, that something had been a bit off. He always used to play alone. He didn't respond to his name so much. We realized that there was something wrong. I'm making breakfast, which is some toast and bananas and strawberries. The meal is for my son. He is 7 years old this year. He's been diagnosed with autism.
No play.
In the first probably 3 months of my son being conceived was probably the time that I was still smoking.
Up.
It does make me feel a bit guilty at times, but I do what I can.
Okay. Calm down.
The newborn who's been exposed to cannabis has a smaller head circumference. They are of lighter weight than average. They can be born prematurely. As they grow older, they show some developmental problems. With regard to the development of autism, there is an investigator called Stuart Rees in Australia that says that cannabis could produce autism. It's correlative, meaning higher autism, more cannabis use in a population. So it's not only the generation that's using that's concerning, but epigenetic changes could influence future generations as well.
ก็ตั้งแต่ปี 2565 นะครับซึ่งทางรัฐบาลของท่านประยุทธ์จันทร์โอชานะครับแล้วก็ที่มีทางท่านอนุทินชาญวีรกูลนะครับเป็นรัฐมนตรีว่าการกระทรวงสาธารณสุขนะครับได้มีนโยบายเกี่ยวเรื่องกัญชาเสรีนะครับซึ่งนโยบายดังกล่าวเองเนี่ยก็ได้มีการแก้ไขในเรื่องของประกาศกระทรวงสาธารณสุขฉบับหนึ่งนะครับโดยมีการถอดในเรื่องของต้นกัญชานะครับแล้วก็ตัวช่อดอกนะหรือมาริโฮน่าเนี่ยออกจากบัญชียาเสพติดให้โทษประเภท5นะครับซึ่งก็ได้รับเสียงคัดค้านนะครับจากคนทั่วไปแล้วก็คนในสังคมค่อนข้างเยอะนะครับแล้วก็จะมีองค์กรวิชาชีพทางการแพทย์เช่นแพทยสภานะครับ
เห็นด้วย199บวก2เป็น201ท่านไม่เห็นด้วยไม่มีนะครับงดออกเสียง31ท่าน
ก็ส่งผลที่ทำให้มีกัญชาเนี่ยแพร่ระบาดไปยังชุมชนเด็กเยาวชนนะครับแล้วก็มีกรณีนักท่องเที่ยวนะที่ใช้กัญชามากนะแล้วก็ควบคุมตัวเองไม่ได้แล้วก็ไปฆ่าตัวตายนะรวมถึงคนไทยก็มีบางรายหลายรายเหมือนกันที่ฆ่าตัวตายแล้วก็พบมีการชันสูตรศพในภายหลังโดยหมอนิติเวชเนี่ยได้พบว่ามีการใช้กัญชาร่วมด้วย
I am forensic doctor in Thailand. When we do the autopsy, we will test urine in every case that we can get the urine. And this is for cannabis. Before legalize, there is no THC positive case. But after that, there are many THC positive case. I think it's about 3 or 4 times. ถูกกฎหมายอยู่ครับปัจจุบันก็คือยังถือว่าใช้กันได้เลยเสรีแต่มันก็มีกฎหมายควบคุมแต่มันเป็นกฎหมายควบคุมที่มันไม่ค่อยดีไม่สามารถจับปรับจริงได้ไม่สามารถลงโทษคนที่ทำผิดได้นะครับต่างจากแอลกอฮอล์ด้วยแอลกอฮอล์ยังมีควบคุมว่าห้ามขายในระยะกี่เมตรนะครับบุหรี่เช่นกันนะครับว่ามันเวลาขายต้องมีแปะปิดบังไม่ให้ขายแต่กัญชาไม่มีครับ
ตอนนั้นน่าจะประมาณ13-14ได้ค่ะก็ยังเด็กอยู่ค่ะก็ตอนนั้นมีรุ่นพี่ชวนให้ไปกินคุกกี้ค่ะที่มีส่วนผสมเป็นกัญชาด้วยค่ะก็เลยได้ลองไปค่ะก็มีอาการค่ะแบบว่ามันก็เวียนหัวอาเจียนแล้วก็แบบว่าปวดหัวมากค่ะก็เขาก็บอกอาการมาค่ะแล้วก็ไม่กล้าไปหาหมอค่ะตอนนั้นคิดว่าแบบกังวลค่ะว่าจะเกิดอะไรกับตัวเราหรือเปล่า
ผมเริ่มใช้กัญชาครั้งแรกตอนม.3 ครับอายุ15เริ่มจากไปนั่งเล่นกับเพื่อนครับแล้วทีนี้เพื่อนก็ชวนปกติครับตอนที่ใช้รู้สึกว่าแบบขี้เกียจนะพี่ไม่อยากมาเรียนถึงมาก็ไม่เรียนนะพี่นอนแบบว่ามันเบลอพี่พาเราซึมพาเราง่วงไม่กระปี้กระเป๋าไม่ล่าเริงครับพี่แล้วก็หน้าโทรมบุคลิกโทรมไปหมดเลยผอม กระทบต่อเรื่องการเรียนการเรียนตกมากครับพี่แล้วก็พวกความจำอะไรทำให้เราลืมง่ายหลงลืมผมว่าไม่ควรปล่อยให้มันเสรีนะครับพี่เพราะว่าเด็กๆรุ่นหลังแบบว่าจะเข้าถึงง่ายแบบว่าพอใช้ไปทุกวันมันก็เป็นยาเสพติดนะพี่แล้วมันก็อาจจะสะสมทำแบบว่าทำร้ายร่างกายของพวกเด็กๆรุ่นหลัง
ผู้ปกครองมองว่ามันเปิดเสรีแล้วทำไมมันต้องมีอะไรมาคัดค้านกันไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องการสอนเด็กก็จะมีข้อขัดกันทำไมที่บ้านผมเสพได้ล่ะครับครูทำไมคุณพ่อคุณแม่ผมทำได้ก็จะเป็นประมาณนี้ค่ะแต่เราก็ได้สอนในเรื่องของผลร้ายที่ตามมาตอนนี้มันอาจจะยังไม่เจออนาคตลูกมันจะสะสมไปเรื่อยๆ
จริงๆถ้าพูดในแง่ของเรื่องการที่กินกัญชาเข้าไปจริงๆเนี่ยมันก็ได้รับสารพิษก็คือ THC เนี่ยมันเหมือนกันเพียงแต่ว่ากัญชาในรูปแบบของการกินที่มันอันตรายมากกว่าเนี่ยจะอยู่นานมากกว่าการสูบค่ะอย่างการสูบเนี่ยกัญชาก็จะอยู่ประมาณสัก 3-4 ชั่วโมงแต่ถ้ามาเป็นรูปของการกินแล้วเนี่ยมันจะอยู่อย่างน้อย12ชั่วโมงขึ้นไปอันตรายที่น่ากลัวเนี่ยก็คือกัญชาในรูปแบบของการกินเนี่ยมันจะมาในรูปแบบของขนมเช่นเป็นบราวนี่เป็นเยลลี่หรือเป็นขนมที่มันดูไม่ได้น่ากลัวไม่ได้อันตรายเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยคนที่กินเนี่ยก็จะกินเข้าไปเรื่อยๆเด็กก็เลยใช้กัญชาตั้งแต่อายุยังน้อยเพิ่มขึ้นนะคะ
Adolescents are much higher risk for developing addiction to cannabis, at least twice as high as adults.They're much less likely to get high grades in school and more likely to be absent from school. Adolescents also have a higher risk for developing psychosis and psychiatric problems. The risks are for not only psychotic disease like schizophrenia, but also suicidality. If they use a lot and frequently,As they get older, they are more likely to be unemployed. They're much less likely to have a college degree. Cannabis use in adolescence can give rise to a reduction in IQ.
คราวนี้ที่เราเห็นก็คือว่าคือส่วนใหญ่เวลามีการปลดล็อกคือเยาวชนเขาไม่ได้รู้ครับเขารู้อย่างเดียวเลยกัญชามันดีมันคือการแพทย์เพราะว่ามันกรอกหูอยู่ทุกวันว่ามันปลดมาเพื่อสุขภาพเพื่อการแพทย์ภาพพจน์มันคือสวยงามครับคือกลุ่มพ่อค้ากลุ่มผู้ประกอบการเขาก็จะไปทำให้มันดูแบบมีสีสันให้มันดูไม่น่ากลัวเข้าถึงง่ายเขาก็ตามถนนเลยครับก็คือจากที่ขี่มอเตอร์ไซค์ไปหรือว่าขับรถไปนะก็ได้เห็นร้านกระท่อมจริงๆมันพ่วงกัญชาอยู่ด้วยถ้าเรารู้นะข้างในคือวัยรุ่นรู้กันคือมันจะมีตามนี้ซื้อขายง่ายจอดรถปุ๊บซื้อได้ทันทีแล้วถามว่าเขาเช็คอายุไหมอายุเท่าไหร่ไม่รู้ตรวจบัตรไหมไม่รู้มันจะหยุดการพัฒนาของสมองเพราะฉะนั้นถ้าชาติเรามีเด็กสูบเยอะมีคนใช้เยอะอนาคตก็ไม่ต้องพูดถึงเอาง่ายๆคือ IQ ไม่โตทั้งประเทศเนี่ยมันก็น่ากลัวแล้วครับ
In 2021, the person aged 18 to 19 used cannabis only 2%. But then, after legalization of cannabis in 2022 has a tenfold increase. We estimate that in 2019, healthcare and indirect costs related to cannabis use would be just 3 to 4 billion baht. But then in 2023, it's increasing to 15 billion baht. So that's why we need to be very careful when we change the policy.
Today we are conducting an operation at the Green Channel car arrival.
Good morning, team.
So we will be conducting checks on travelers who might be abusing drugs overseas and bringing illegal drugs into Singapore.
Make sure that the saliva kit, test kit, drug test kit are all inside. All right, clear?
Yes, sir. Besides the portable handheld device, we also have the drug test kit which can deliver accurate and rapid results in drug identifications.
When the officers are checking on the vehicle, they will normally do an interview with the driver or the travelers. They will try to pick up telltale signs, such as whether are they evasive towards their questions or they got unusual demeanors. So when the officers decided to check on the travelers, they will pull them to a secondary location where ICA can do some swab on their hands or their belongings for traces of narcotics. CMB deployed saliva test kits since 2023. If there's a presence of controlled drug, it will show a positive reaction from the analyzer or the test strips. It allows also a quick turnover rate of 10 minutes. Previously, CMB officer has to escort the travelers to our office for the instant urine test. However, now we can have a better and quick and efficient method to detect the presence of controlled drug on the spot. What you are seeing now is the car inspection pit where we do an enhanced check on the vehicle. So we have encountered smugglers who have modified their vehicles to conceal drugs. Some of the locations we have ever encountered inside the bumpers, in between door panels, or even the floorboard of the vehicle. Some even hide the drugs under the seats of the car. Smugglers have also found creative ways to hide drugs, to conceal drugs, such as they put inside rice cooker. We have also encountered drugs are hidden inside the milk powder tin, where they travel along with their family members.
I almost start selling drugs because I have a circle of friends that was doing it as well. So I'm like, instead of just buying it, might as well sell it as well. It's very easy. Everyone is familiar with this app, Carousel, right? A bowl of organic loose leaf for $30 seems a bit suspicious. So you can just check. My supplier told me the youngest person that he ever encountered buying weed from him, like buying cannabis from him, was 12 years old. I'm very glad that I didn't like get into that game so deeply, because I might not be able to live with myself if I know that I'm ruining a child's life.
We do monitor online platforms. In fact, since 2019, when we start to see this trend, we have been watching it very closely. We have mounted many operations to take out abusers and traffickers who are using this platform to pursue their illicit activities. People tend to think that such platforms give them certain anonymity so that they can evade detection, but they cannot be more wrong, because CMB will sieve you out, will investigate, and we will bring them to justice.
The fact that I didn't go on the selling of drug route made me feel very thankful. I think if I will get caught for doing it, I will be dead by now.
What we have here is a real opium smoking pipe. So normally they will use the pin here to scoop up the opium paste. When the heat rises, it starts to cook the opium. In the past, this street is very famous of all vices. We have human trafficking and also prostitution, gamblings, everything. For trial trails, we have participants from different walks of life. The most commonly asked question when it comes to Singapore is about the death penalty.
But do you think that death penalty is still effective? Because you're mentioning now the age is dropping for drug users.
Trafficking has a very high profit margin. People are willing to take that risk if they're in need of money. Okay? Every country have their own house rule. If you are bringing something back to my country, of course, you have to face the consequences. So whenever I share this with the guests that about why our leaders impose such a strict law to protect ourselves, some of them even share with me how they hope that their country's leader can do the same thing. There will be less issue on drugs.
We are in the middle of a back alley between Lorong 31 and 33. This is where I used to live with my family. There used to be a gambling den and an illegal loan syndicate. I think the memories growing up here were not very good because by 13 I was into drugs. Our home toilet was using a night swipe bucket system. So what happened was when I was squatting down to open up my straw of heroin, it actually dropped and went right into the pool. So I actually plunged my entire hand, both hands, to search for it and scour for it, and I came up with all feces on my arm. Yeah. When you are an addict, your drugs are very, very important, and they mean more than gold and more than your life. I was recruited to sell heroin in 1977. I was unaware of the death penalty for drug trafficking. I found out about the death penalty through an addict who bought heroin from me. It sent a chill down my spine. So I immediately stopped selling and then cut ties with my supplier. I think the death penalty had an impact on drug distribution because back then, particularly in 1977, the death penalty affected the supply at that time. And hence, the dealer had no choice, were forced to further adulterate the quality of the heroin. I believe the death penalty helps to deter the activities in the supply of drugs. For me, it was instrumental in stopping me in my involvement in selling drugs.
A total of 1.2 kilograms of heroin was seized after the 18-hour operation that ended early this morning.
When you look at how Singapore has effectively controlled serious crimes in Singapore, whether we're talking about murder and drug trafficking, I think one could say that the reduction in lives being affected in terms of people who consume drug or crimes committed as a result of drug activities, that they have gone down significantly over the years. It's multi-causal as to why many Singaporeans still believe in the death penalty. I think one is certainly, their own personal view that serious crimes, including drug trafficking, deserve such a penalty. But I think it is also important to recognize that the high confidence level in the use of capital punishment in Singapore also stems from the fact that Singaporeans believe that people who are charged with capital crimes will get a fair trial.
So to me, capital punishment actually serves two purposes. One as a deterrence, the other as a safety. And so deterrence tends to focus on deterring people from committing the crime. So it focuses on the perpetrator. But safety focuses on the victims, the feeling of public safety. If people feel safe, they have an enhanced well-being. They can do more work, they are more productive. They have more opportunities to come out, to explore, to have more recreation without fear. And it also may encourage tourists to come with this no fear of having their safety being compromised. And that's why when you look at the recent surveys, they're supporting the capital punishment law and so on. A lot have to do with safety.
Hey, you everybody!
Finally, I get man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been a long time, These are my longtime friends, man. We're part of the music scene. Ready to jam?
Yeah, man.
All right, let's jam, man. Let's go ahead.
My first brush with drugs was when I was 16 or 17 years old. I started playing the guitar, joined bands, and almost every other night we will be jamming at some bar and drinking ourselves silly. And then, of course, I was introduced to drugs. I went over to Malaysia and started playing at some gigs. I still remember there was going to be a New Year's Eve party. So I was tasked to bring back drugs from Malaysia to Singapore. And so that fateful night when I came back across the Woodlands checkpoint, the causeway, I was arrested. I went to court, faced the judge. He kind of looked up at me, and I still remember his words. He says, "Glenn, I have every right to just charge you accordingly, but I'm going to drop your initial charge of importation, which carries a life sentence or a death sentence, depending, right down to a first-time possession charge." And I was just very thankful. So at the end of the day, I was sentenced for 6 months.
Thank you, man. Thanks.
You gotta do guitar again, man.
Come on. First, we need to get a band going, right?
Let's jam with Lawrence Wong. So 6 months came and went. I kind of recalibrated my life compass inside. Fast forward to the next 10 years, 15 years, and that was when I decided I really wanted to help people. We always say XOFG is a family, correct? Yeah, turn to each other and say, we are family, man. Yeah, we're family. Architects of Life came about when I really wanted to give back. I decided to get some people around, some friends of mine, fellow ex-offenders, and we said, why don't we organize ourselves? We run programs, education, as well as counseling services.
Today, I've been out of prison and clean for 5 years.
Because no one gets to change in isolation. One of my deep passions is really to hold conversations and dialogue with the next generation. There's so much information out there that's accessible on the internet, so young people lap it up very quickly without really clarifying or verifying the facts. That kind of forms a mindset that, hey, this is permissible, this is even good for them. So maybe that's one of the reasons why more and more young people are more inclined to taking drugs.
To be honest, cannabis seems to us youths as a very easy to get into compared to other forms of drugs where it's a pill or a glass. You need utensils for it, and it's easy to put into things like vapes as well.
In my opinion, big tobacco is pushing for big cannabis simply because that's the big cash crop and that's the most money that it can make ever since tobacco has started to decline.
Tobacco companies have actually been interested in cannabis since the 1970s. And as of now, all of the major transnational tobacco companies have invested in cannabis industry. So the tobacco industry actually uses quite a wide range of lobbying tactics. Okay, so I'm looking at the website of a tobacco industry front group called the Global Action to End Smoking. And it was completely funded and set up by Philip Morris with a $1 billion funding pledge over 12 years. It's not always clear what the links are because you go on the website of this group and it really looks like a legitimate NGO, nonprofit that has no links to the tobacco industry. So it's a huge PR effort really to forward Philip Morris's harm reduction agenda. It allows them to build a front of legitimacy. I do think that the public remains very largely in the dark about it. It's good to bear in mind that when you come across social media posts that perhaps glamorize something, whether it be vaping or smoking tobacco products or using cannabis, that could also be put there by the industry.
Hello, my name is Liu Ki Chan. My real name is Luke Chan. I'm a content creator and also a business owner.
Think man lah. Plus, will help you relax.
What if kena caught? I scared addicted lah, bro.
Really smoking cigarette, what difference? Think.
After trying marijuana, I had the mindset to go and try harder drugs because if I already try this drug, why not I go for harder drugs?
So, don't go and try drugs. It's not worth it.
At the age of around 15 years old, my friend introduced me to cannabis. I say, hey, why not? You're already smoking, why not try something else? It's the same thing, ma. It's just that maybe this one you get high. I was, smoking almost every day. I even made my own bong. And then from that, until the age of 17, I saw a couple of my friends who are taking methamphetamine. So from there, I was like thinking, since I'm already, taking this cannabis, why not? I try something harder. And that led me to a full-blown 3 to 4 years of addiction.
看你现在看到以前你的样子，你觉得有什么感觉？
我以前这样。
我记得。
At my full-blown addiction stage, I did have a lot of acne. My face was all sunken in. I think at one point I was urinating. It was brown, like really brown, dark colored. I think it looks very similar to Coca-Cola because I was not drinking enough water. I didn't even care about drinking water. I didn't even care about food. I had a small portion of eczema, and due to my long drug addiction, it affected my eczema to be even worse. So now I'm suffering the consequences. My leg is fully covered with eczema. Hey, Mommy, can you introduce yourself?
I'm working in a company as an admin.
Okay, maybe you can share how. Do you want to share how old are you?
Why must tell the age?
Just say a bit lah. I don't know. Introduce ma. Okay, ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, Mommy, can you introduce yourself?
I'm Helen and I'm Luke's mother. I'm year of 60 this year.
So, 那时候我跟你讲了是一个药，你有什么感觉？因为你知道我有玩。
还用讲？我的心是整个掉下来了咯，很伤心，很伤心。我怎么会用心的去栽培你？怎么你会走这条路？我觉得是不是因为我离婚了，影响到你的成长？我一直都怪我自己。六啊，你到底在做什么？一整晚都没有睡啊！
那，你可以不要一直吵吗？你很烦的，你一直吵。
Every day you see me, but at the same time, I also lock myself in the room.
呀咯，脾气很坏，不能够沟通啊！他一沟通就是要打东西啊，乱打。我那时候是一直哭。
So, Mommy, when the time I was released from detention barracks, right, and I relapsed, what was going through your head during that period of time?
当时我真的很想从这边跳下去嘞，因为我觉得你答应过我的东西你又做不到，然后你又走回那条路的话，我还有什么让我支持我去更支持你？知青的人最大的影响力了，这种东西真的除了他之外，会影响到周围的人，为他烦，为他怕，的确是有恐惧感。发讯息又不回，就好像以前这样。
Don't worry， 我一定会跟你讲我在哪里的，不用担心。
真的
哎呀，Of course, me, thank you for everything. Thank you for always not giving up on me and being by my side. So now, I'm gonna work hard for us and hopefully retire you soon.
Oh yeah, I wish to also.
One day I just decided, I wanted to post like some drugs transformation video to share about my past. So at first when I was doing contents, I didn't really think much about it. But slowly I saw, some news article where, even at age 13, 14, 15 abusing drugs. And as a person who used to abuse drugs, I know what is the consequences like. All I could think of is, what if I can share this story and then motivate someone who was at my position to change their life. Let people know, wow, drugs is actually very dangerous, you cannot go to it. And I thought that even if I could help that maybe few people, a group of people, or even just one people, I feel that it's good enough already. So some of them actually message me on Instagram or TikTok. They'll ask me, hey bro, I'm also onto drugs right now. I Always want to quit, but I don't know how. You got any advice? So I shared with them what I did to overcome it. So what I did was I cut away all the suppliers. I cut away all the friends. I focus on building myself. But if they are not strong enough to do so, I would advise them to go to a halfway house where they can, stay there and even work, so to get their life back.
Hi, my name is Leslie. Welcome to We Care Community Services. This is our art room. Art is one of our most participated activities. If you look at our gardens here, we have 3 donated hydroponic systems given by a community gardener. Gardening is meant to be very therapeutic, just as art is. So along this corridor, you'll see we have a little fitness corner. All the equipment has been donated to us, and this is where our guys who want to keep fit exercise. Okay, here we are at our pantry. In this room, you can see there are musical instruments, we have karaoke, there's TV, there's always food and drinks, and people just feel very at home here. Today is Thursday, so we have a cooking session. So already we have one helper here, Massimo, who is slicing and dicing.
Every Thursday we have a cook-in. Because of our busy lifestyle, so we don't actually get to eat a lot of home-cooked food. So every Thursday I'll come in the morning to help with the lady to do some cutting and some washing.
For people like me, who have been using drugs for a really long time, like 20 over years, we basically don't have a lot of friends. So when I first came here, right, I was basically like totally broke. So WeCare actually has to pay for my bus fare here. So they buy food for me, cook for me, so I can go through my first few months here without money lah. So now that I'm recovered enough lah, we give back lah, to do the things to help out for those people who are new and still struggling.
I think what is unique about us really is that this space is safe, it's non-judgmental. So everything that happens at the center is voluntary. People come here, they can connect with other persons who are a little bit further down the recovery journey.
Welcome to our Break the Cycle Sunday social ride. So as the name suggests, we ride to break the cycle of recidivism. We usually have ex-offenders in our midst, cycling with us as a way to reintegrate, to make new friends. Break the Cycle started 5 years ago. All good, pack one, get ready. I realized there was a social gap where the community was needed to support ex-offenders. And I also recognized that the cycling as a sport was also a very highly social activity. As an ex-offender myself, I understand that to break a habit is very difficult. You can't just say, I quit or I stop. You need to replace a bad habit with a good habit.
我 ex-convict 啦，我进进出出蛮多次啦。我最长的sentence是11年 ，then stroke 11 stroke for trafficking 啊。So in and out since 10多岁咯。因为有时我们在外面做工啊，工作多的时候你会压力，但是骑脚车的时候啊，你会把这些东西都忘掉啊，会帮你 release stress 哦。
What I'm showing you in this phase, it's called a plate. It's the inside part now I'm showing you. That is where you need the oil.
The cycling workshop is one of the examples of how we galvanize the cycling community to volunteer and to really support the inmates who are residents at the halfway house. That's how we are able to build trust, rapport, so that they would trust us enough to share with us their challenges, their struggles, especially when they're outside. Our hope is that they will join us for cycling and be part of the community.
When I left the halfway house, I have difficulties looking for a long-term skill job. Break the Cycle has helped me to get funding for courses and to upgrade myself to be a specialized mechanic in Brompton. And then they also get me a full range of bike mechanic tools. And the best part was they were able to network and link me with my current employer. So that gradually helped me to move away from my old addictions.
We have a very comprehensive drug control strategy. So it comprises preventive drug education, tough laws, and also treatment and rehabilitation. So all this works together to help us contain the drug situation in Singapore, because although situation worldwide has worsened, but in Singapore, we still contained it to a good degree.
I will advise those who thought that cannabis is not harmful, who wanted to give it a try, that this is something I will share with you. Drugs is drugs. Never start trying. Once you try, you get hooked, and then you're gone.
Maybe sometimes there's this false sense of security when we're doing it, thinking that we will never be found out or never be caught. Just like a hook, it is going to bring you further and further down.
Regardless of your age, it is never too late. It's better late than never breaking free from the bondage of addiction.
There are people who are willing to help with no strings attached. All you need to do is just reach out, just make that first step, and then the rest of the journey, you don't have to walk it alone.